Video games are building up quite the tradition of letting us race exotic cars in equally exotic locations, giving players the fantasy racing scenarios that go far beyond the daily commute through Romford in a Ford Mondeo. With that exact pretty cars in pretty places ethos in mind, the Crew Motorfest leaves the US mainland and North America behind, taking players to the Hawaiian island of Oahu for a celebration of all kinds of car culture. The full game is out in September, but we got to go hands-on with a preview before this weekend's The Crew Motorfest beta, set to run from 21st to 23rd of July. And I've got some really interesting mixed feelings about this game. In some ways, it feels like the Crew is still trying to find an identity for itself as a game series. You had the self-serious story of gangs and revenge in the original, then the Crew 2 shifted to feature a very broad multicast racing TV series. But now the Crew Motorfest is putting on Forza Horizon's mask. It features a big festival of racing in a part of the world that will be exotic and new to most players. As a framing device, it's pretty much by the numbers, but it works, and it gives an easy, if utterly implausible, excuse to go hooning around in all manner of road cars. The Crew Motorfest doesn't disappoint in that department, with the ability to import your car collection from the Crew 2 if you've built up a big old garage, and that's alongside the new additions that Ubisoft Ivory Tower are making to the car lineup. The main method to get you to engage with different cars comes through playlists. These pick a theme and they run with it for a series of events, dropping you into a variety of loaned vehicles and racing along to explore particular corners of car culture. One of the first playlists that you can select, and the one that we picked, is Made in Japan, which hands you the keys to a clutch of Japanese greats, and it transforms the island with night races, neon lights and glowing dragons just all over the place. And you're racing against a gang of street racers, bantering back and forth about the car that you've borrowed from one of this crew and the competition that you're engaged in. It is pretty odd to set a video game in Hawaii and then immediately make it ape Japanese streets in its visual design, but it is also quite impressive just how dramatically this game can transform the landscape to match the theme that it's trying to explore at any given time. And honestly, Made in Japan is not the most natural of starting playlists. That would be the Hawaii Scenic Tour, with cars like a souped-up Volkswagen Camper, an open-topped Beamer, or a Ford Bronco which has got inflatable pool rings and boards bouncing around in the back as you drive. It's a slight shame that each one of these is a straight-up race when they've got Hawaiian fashion designer Keola Raposo to provide some lovely voiceovers to talk about the island, its landmarks, its people, and the folklore that they have built up. It's really tricky to take all of that in while also trying to go as fast as possible, and I'd honestly have preferred solo events where you are actually on a scenic tour. There's a handful of these playlists that you'll be able to check out if you get into this weekend's closed beta, while the full game will launch with 15 playlists and have more added over time. The game will also have a new season every 4 months to add more events, strings of races and activities to complete via the main stage area. Season 1 will then dig into different car brands and where they originated from, curating the best from American, Japanese and European cars in different ways, while Season 2 then promises the wild creations made under the Hoonigan brand name. As an example that we got to try out, there's a week of European elegance, which features the Renault RS01 in hypercar races, while the Citroën C3 Racing has got some nighttime rally-style stages, and that again provides a lot of visual difference to driving around in the blazing sunshine. There's some real playfulness to how the Crew Motorfest features these different eras and different types of cars. EV racing can feature F-Zero style charge-up pads to fill up your boost, instead of this building up through close racing over time, while stepping back to drive some classic cars strips back the HUD so that you don't even have a GPS map to follow, and maybe has Polaroid pictures of landmarks that you need to use for directions instead. One of my favourite tricks from the Crew 2 was the ability to swap between car, boat and plane, seamlessly switching between land, sea and air to fully explore every inch of the world. It's something that I had feared had been left by the wayside in the sequel, with so much of the focus during trailers and videos being put on the racing on 4 wheels. So I'm glad to say that you can still switch to a plane or a boat with the press of just 2 buttons, and it happens pretty much instantly. It's not exactly clear to me yet how in-depth these areas are going to be, if you're going to have specific events for boats and planes, or if it's just going to be the more incidental stuff as you're exploring. But it is great for getting between different race events by just switching to a plane and flying in a straight line, even if you are kind of cutting out a bunch of the, frankly, delightful scenery. And Oahu Island looks fantastic, giving a great mixture of scenery that absolutely lives up to your expectations of visiting Hawaii. From the cities to the lush and vibrant forests, from huge volcanic mountains down to the idyllic beaches. I've never had the pleasure of visiting this part of the world, so I've no doubt that, as Ubisoft Ivory Tower have edited this island down in the name of gameplay and flow, they've probably made certain unrealistic tweaks and changes along the way. But it is still going to be fun to explore and race to this location for the rest of us at least. But the big question is, can the Crew Motorfest really snatch the open world racing game crown from Forza Horizon's head? We'll have to wait until September to see if it does, but either way, I'm happy to say that this game still has its own tone and style, even if it is following in some relatively familiar tyre tracks. Is able to transform the world with sweeping visual effects, there's still the ability to switch to a plane or a boat, and the playlists and the seasonal content provide plenty of opportunities to really embed players within car culture and history. That's all that we've got for this video, and I hope that you've enjoyed this look at the Crew Motorfest. If you get to go hands-on with the closed beta this weekend, let us know what you think in the comments below. But before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, share, do all of the usual YouTube things, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Goodbye!
Another landscape, another photo. Ko'olau poko. Nah, Naka'ahiki. Just another mountain range? It's actually part of a volcano. We're going that way. Easy, easy. It's been sleeping for 2.5 million years now. This is the B-side, Kane Ohe.